Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me. Today I am sharing a card using a Slimline die, and this is one of those cards that I saw this idea on YouTube for the background for this, and then I tried it, and I feel like a lot of stuff went wrong in this card, and so I'm going to show you how I fixed some of the problems that I had. But I'm using the Slimline dies from Whimsy Stamps. It's called a Woodland Cottage. This is a great die for a slimline card. You can even divide it up and use it on a 4¼ by 5½. And I pulled out these watercolor I think they're called watercolor crayons. They're sort of similar to the distress crayons, or Michaels has a brand of them, or they used to. And so I thought I would use these because they're really creamy, and they're really easy to use, and they're super quick. So I didn't have to do ink blending or any of that. And so this is my first mistake. I went ahead and I made a mask for what's going to be the moon, and I used the die to figure out where I was going to put the moon because I wanted it in that space. But I made a mistake, and I should have flipped the die over because the die is going to cut out the opposite side of what I just showed. That was a pretty easy fix for that. But the paper I'm using for this is hammer mill cardstock, and that's important to note later on when I make another mistake. But I'm just taking the crayons and just kind of coloring like you would with crayons, putting the darkest purple on the outside, and then the dark blue, and then the lightest blue towards the center, and near where I have that moon part masked off. And I go over this twice, and again, these are really creamy, super easy to work with. And then I'm taking a baby wipe and I'm just kind of blending all of those colors together and getting them smoothed out. And it does lighten up the color a bit, and so I go back in with the crayon. I let it dry, and then I go back in with the crayons again, and I just apply it fairly heavily. But when I'm using the baby wipe across it, I am not pushing on it heavily. I'm not pushing it really into the paper because I don't want to bring up too much of the color. And then I'm just kind of making a motion, kind of a curving motion, to give the effect of, especially when I take the mask off, of the moon. And then I went ahead and I cut out 2 of those meadow dies with some black cardstock. And then as I go to take the masking paper off, and this is actually removable sticky paper by, I think it's called Rock something, I don't know. But the hammer mill cardstock, I love using it for my alcohol inks, but it is horrible for any type of tape. Like, it has to be super low tack tape. And unfortunately, it ripped some of the paper, which you'll see it actually kind of works out for the better because this is a moon and it gives it kind of a moon look to it. So after I have taken the mask off, I'm just taking, these are actually oil-based colored pencils, and so I'm going to take the white colored pencil and go over that, and it kind of just smooths that line between the mask, where the mask was, and the color. And then I'm taking Catherine Pooler ink, and this is baby blue or baby boy or something like that. It's a really light blue, and I'm just taking my blending brush and going really, really lightly over that moon area. And then next I'm taking this die from Whimsy Stamps, and I think it's called a card builder die, but this die doesn't cut out a window frame, which is what I wanted. And so I went ahead and I cut it out, and then that inside portion kind of makes a faint line when you run it through your die cut machine. And so all I'm doing is I'm taking my craft knife and I'm just following that line. And luckily it's kind of like a wavy line, so I don't have to worry about keeping the craft knife straight or making a straight cut. And so that's going to be my border. So to fix this little area that's going to be showing on my card, where I ripped it with that masking paper, I'm just taking a little bit of that crayon and I added it to a baby wipe, and I just dabbed it on that area so that when I place the die cut, the black die cut on top of that, you're not going to be able to see any white. And then I went ahead and I tried to take my gel pen to make some like illumination from the moon onto my black die cut piece. And it didn't really work out too well for me. I didn't like the way it looked. So I went ahead and I took the other die cut piece that I cut out and used a white colored pencil, which you can't really see. And then I'm taking a white paint pen and adding some little stars. And I wanted to do some shooting stars in the background, and I got some of them right. But then I got a big paint blob, and made worse because I just dabbed it with the baby wipe. So to fix that, I just dabbed it some more, and it kind of ended up looking like a galaxy in the background. So I dabbed that spot, and then I dabbed the other side of the panel as well, just to make it look like it was supposed to happen. And then I take my white paint pen again and add a few more little stars over that area. And next I'm going to go ahead and assemble the card. So I'm going to take those two black die cut pieces. I'm going to add a little bit of my red top fine line glue and adhere those two pieces together. And then I'm going to take the frame that I created and add glue to the very bottom of it. And I will stack that on top of those other die cut pieces. And then I wanted to go a step further, and a lot of times there's a point when you're making a card that you're like, okay, I'm done, or no, I think I want to do something else. And I kind of wanted to do something else just to add something to it, and it didn't really add anything to it. So what I tried to do, I tried to add some distress ink. I probably should have used some distress oxide. It would have worked a little bit better, and used the water splatter on it. And it just ended up looking like some water landed on my card panel. And then my last boo-boo was the lost footage. I don't know if I didn't record it or if I recorded and I accidentally deleted it, but this is not usually how I end my video, but that's how I'm ending my video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it or find it informative, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. As always, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me, and I hope to see you next time.